Today I will be showing you the basics on how to use GIMP. This is a 2D software program we use to make our 2D sprites. The GIMP, or GNU Image Manipulation Program, is a great program to make two-dimensional projects of all kinds. This is GIMP. We will start our project by going to File and clicking New. This creates a new blank canvas. We will make our canvas size 500 by 500 pixels. There are many other measurements you can use. And we will go to Advanced Options, where we have many more options, including changing our background color from a solid color to transparency, which will give it a background of nothing for images with a lot of sharp edges and corners that cannot be enclosed in a box. All these different tabs are dockable dialogues that you can drag out or put anywhere you want on the program, which goes for a great customizationable stuffs. You can find those dialogues in dockable dialogues, where they're all here, so you can drag them out. So you can drag them out as separate windows, close them out, and find them in dockable dialogues, and it'll place it. So let's start by looking at all our tools. This is the rectangle select tool, which just selects a rectangle region that you can make larger or smaller, and then we can use the fill bucket tool to fill it with the color. These are two different color palettes, and here we have many different coloring options that we can use, and we have different colors and a colored eyedropper. And these are the two colors you can have saved at the time, and you rotate between the two. So if your blue is on top, you will be filling with blue. If red is on top, you will be filling with red. So that's the rectangle. We also have a ellipse select tool. So if you see this fuzzy selection, then all you do is click off to the side and it erases it. So we have this ellipse select tool, which selects ellipse, and there's many other features that can make squares have rounded corners if you want. This is just like your classic freehand select tool that you can re-edit the points you made and create it as a selection that you can fill if you want to. These are two color select tools. This just selects solid colors, and this is better at selecting fuzzy colors that are 100% solid, but they both select only a specific color. So if I were to put, say, an oval here that's red, select, only selects red, or only selects red or blue, or you can select both. Next we have a scissors select tool, which selects around objects that you draw. You draw lines, but has sort of an intelligent edge fitting technology to it that kind of grabs around the edges of the circle, or whatever object it is you're trying to select. This is the move tool, which is the classic tool you just use to move around your objects. This is an alignment tool, and then we have the crop tool, which you just drag and then you left click to crop it. Then we have many different transform tools, including a unified transform tool, which stretches, changes the scale, or tilts it up and down. We also have a rotate tool, which rotates, and it can be adjusted by slider, or you can type in the degrees. And then we have a scale tool, a shear tool, a handle transform tool, a perspective tool, all of these transforming tools. And then we have flip tool. So this is good if you want to make, like, let's create a new project, like table chairs. So a cool trick, if you get this thing solid, and you want it to be transparent background, then you can just go to Layer, Transparency, and add alpha channel. So sort of secretly hidden transparency behind it, so that when you select the color and hit delete, you have a transparent background. So if I were to go to a paintbrush tool and draw a nice little fuzzy L, if we get this new flip tool, it flips it. So it's good if you want to make like chair legs or table legs or something. Oh, back over here, so we have the flip tool. And then you notice this yellow dotted line that was surrounding our transparent canvas. It is now changed because we've rotated the entire thing. So right now, we only are able to draw inside the yellow lines. Even if there was some canvas on the outside of the yellow line, we could not draw on that, unless we have the yellow line on the outside and we draw on the inside. So this is kind of a problem, but there is a way to fix this. So when you export the image, it will only export the canvas. It will not export just inside the yellow line. It will only export the canvas. But you can only draw inside the yellow line. So when you have a text box, it creates its own little yellow line and robs everything else. So an easy way to fix this is right click on the layer, and merge visible layers. So it merges them all. So sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't, and it will merge it so the yellow line is back around. The next tool we have is Cage Transform, which just deforms it, and then we have a Warp Transform, which just warps it. Here's our text tool, which you can just type text, and then you select it. You can change the color, font, size, and you can change the font. For example, let's do HP Simplified Light. And this is the text. So notice with the text, this moves it to the right or left, and the top one moves it up or down. This one and this one don't do anything. It's only these two that actually move the text box, so it's kind of hard to move it around, especially when it gets like buried. After the text, we have the paint bucket fill tool, which I showed you, and then we have the gradient tool. So we're going to use the gradient tool in here. So first we're going to select this fuzziness, and we are going to click gradient tool. So now we're just going to drag along this line, and now we'll see it's made it solid. So we're going to click at the top. We had it at red, so I'm going to still stay with red. We're going to do like a lighter red, like salmon color. Down at the bottom, we're going to do a darker red. And this is going to be, those are the 2 points. You can have middle points in between that have different colors. But this is the basics of a gradient, which makes things look shiny, like they're metal or something. So that's great with asset development. Next we have the pencil and paintbrush tool. There's not much difference between them, but they all have these brushes, which you found in the stockable dialog. These are all these brushes. You have like a pepper that GIMP gave us, or like a GIMP stamp. That's really fun. Now notice here I'm only stamping inside the yellow lines. I can only do that, which is why I'm going to show you on here. See, a GIMP stamp is nice. And well, you can draw in squares with this little pixel one, or just solid round. And you can adjust the size. So you can make it huge, or you can make it really tiny, or somewhere in between. And we have aspect, angle, spacing, hardness, which if you bring it up to 100%, it will be solid like that instead of fuzzy like it was before we added the gradient and the force. This is our eraser tool, which just erases all the mistakes we've made. And this is a fun airbrush if you just want to spray things with a little bit of pink paint or something. This is an ink tool, which is calligraphy style painting, which is pretty much just a paintbrush, except if you hold it for too long, it makes really nasty blobs. So I guess if you wanted ink. Next we have my paintbrush tool, which gives you paintbrushes, and then a bunch of options of paintbrushes to use. And then more tools, like this clone tool, this tool, healing tool, perspective clone tool, blur sharpen tool, smudge tool, or a dodge burn tool. So these are the tools. Now you see there's many menus, and edit and select, view. So you have this problem. We see our gradient here. Now say we wanted to select our gradient. So I'm going to try to select our gradient. But then notice it selects it in layers because it's a gradient, so you can't just select the entire L. So that would be a problem. But if we were to fill the rest of this with, don't know how I did that. Well, anyway, since I did do it, let's fill the rest of this with blue or red. That works. Actually, let's fill it with blue. Make this obvious. Now, if we were to select, we cannot select this entire thing, but we can select the entirety of the background. Now, if we were to go to select, there are many select tools, but one of the great select tools is invert. So instead of selecting all of this, we select just this. So now we have this selected, and we can fill it with whatever color we want. So that's the majority of the tools and the options we have here, which are a lot. Over here we have just opacity. These are the different layers that you copy and paste. They'll pop up here and you can scale them by right clicking, scaling the layers, and many other options. GIMP also has all their fonts, your stuffs, and a lot of great textures, as well as the brushes. And these are your different tabs that you obviously select on, plus a bunch of other options. So these are the basics of GIMP, along with the zoom. These are the basics of GIMP, and I hope you enjoy your asset making experience with this great two-dimensional program. If you would ever like to visit us on itch.io, soon we will have a ton of free and paid assets that you can download, or you can request a custom sprite here, or you can visit our YouTube channel.